The killing of journalists in Palestine by Israel is a way of silencing and blacking out coverage in a place where coverage from the ground is needed so badly. On December 15th, Wael al-Dahdouh and Samar Abu Daqqa arrived at the Farhana school in Khan Yunis, accompanied by 3 civil defense workers. The strike happened at about 2:30 p.m. Wael al-Dahdouh described this, saying, "It was as if a storm had targeted us. When he regained awareness, he stood up, he realized he was bleeding, he looked around. The 3 civil defense workers that had accompanied them had been killed instantly. And at a distance, he saw his colleague, Samir, lying on the ground. Somehow, Wael al-Dahdouh managed to struggle across 800 meters of rubble. He's brought to Nasser Hospital for treatment. You can see him in videos there, calling for people to go in and rescue Samir. From what we understand from sources, ambulances then did try and go in to rescue Samir, but they were fired on. Just after 3 p.m., a freelance producer and journalist posted on a WhatsApp group of over 140 journalists what had happened. Senior journalists at major news organizations were calling senior officials in the Israeli military and were being told that passage had not been granted yet. At 3:35 p.m., Al Jazeera's bureau chief in Ramallah was calling the Red Cross, asking them to liaise with the Israeli military to facilitate passage for emergency crews to reach Samir. At 5:30 p.m., this is now a full 3 hours after Samir had been wounded, we know from these chat logs that the Israeli military had still not granted permission for emergency teams to reach Samir. At around 7:30 p.m., word came that approval had finally arrived for a Palestinian bulldozer to go through and rescue Samir, but it was too late. Emergency crews had reached him and they found him dead. And this happened while many people across the world were watching. We've seen incredible resilience by Palestinian journalists in Gaza over these last 3 months. They've been killed in record numbers. Those still alive have lost their homes. They have lost their families. And yet somehow they continue to summon the strength to keep reporting on the ground, to keep us all informed of what's happening in Gaza. There needs to be justice and accountability in the killings of these journalists. As Wael al-Dahdouh said, holding the killer accountable is the least that can be done so that they don't escape punishment every time, which leads to the continuation of the targeting and attacks of Palestinian journalists. And this is the key point. So many journalists have been killed, there has been no justice and accountability, and the killings continue.